Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. We are going to be diving into the fun world of manifestation. And rumor has it that we started our own TikTok profile. So we actually have been getting some questions from people about manifestation over there. And we're going to be going over one of those questions today, which is basically how do you keep your emotions elevated once you decide you want to create something? How do you keep your emotions elevated around that? So we're going to dive into that today. In case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley, and I love this topic, and I feel
Me
like
too.
it's something I think both of us recently have found like a sweet spot in this,
Hmm.
like a higher level sweet spot in this,
Hmm.
so it's also
Yeah.
a little bit fun to talk about as well.
Yeah. And I like talking about that higher level sweet spot. I do think that this is a progression that you
Mhm.
start to figure out how to effectively do this.
Yeah.
It's okay to have days where you're like, shit, I really fucked up
Mhm.
today. The fact that you
Yep.
noticed is a big deal, right? Because I used to go through my day and just not notice that I was feeling like crap about a certain thing. And then I'd wonder how come I wasn't manifesting what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, I think, do that. So, really, that to me is step one in this whole process. Get really fucking aware of your thoughts and your feelings on a moment to moment, not day by day, moment to moment basis, because that is going to help give you a idea of how you're progressing through your day. And when I
Mhm.
first started doing this, I felt like it was exhausting, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I was always on top of myself, not in a negative way, but I was constantly like, do I like that? Do I like that I just said that or thought that or felt that way? Do I like that? And I kept doing it all day, every day. And I still do it because it's now a habit. So you'll even
Mhm.
hear me on this podcast. I think it was last time we recorded. I said something and I was like, I don't like that I just said that. We're going to rewind. And
Yeah.
that is me catching myself
Yeah.
through the day. It's not that I have to sit here and be perfect all the time. It's
Mhm.
creating awareness around the fact that you did something that you're like, that doesn't really resonate with what I actually want to create. And I think that this, if I'm being honest with you, is probably not talked about in the
Mhm.
manifestation world, which is a crying fucking shame, in my opinion. People are
Yeah.
always like, oh, just feel it and you'll have it. And it's like, yeah, but you have to notice how you're feeling first. You have to
Mhm.
notice what's going on during the day first. Like, you have to get really, really good at that. This has to become a practice that is literally something that you do
Mhm.
constantly throughout your waking day.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I've had like friends or family members like significantly, like a lot of different people in my life be like, "Oh yeah, I tried that and it didn't work for me." I'm like, "Well, were you doing it?" They're like, "Oh yeah, like da 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 da." And I'm like, "I hung out with you." Like
Yeah,
I know where your thoughts were. And like,
exactly.
yes, we all have bad days, but
Yeah,
like you were living in them. Like, like
yeah.
it's not like a lot of people view it as, oh, I did some self-care today. So like check, I filled that box. I did my law of attraction manifestation moment. Move
No,
on with the
it
day.
is not a
Or
fucking
like
moment, people. Okay. Can we just get that through everyone's heads right now? It's not a moment, it's a life.
yeah. And then they have like their morning ritual or their evening ritual or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, but like you're not there the rest of the day. And we, our brain doesn't want to be there. Like our brain doesn't want to spend energy changing because that's hard work. And our brains don't want to do hard work. They want to stick with the comfortableness, even though the comfortableness sucks.
Mhm.
Like it's like someone like myself, I don't like running. Like I don't. I have done it in the past for a short period of time. I do not like it. So if I was to go out and run 10K today or miles today for the Americans, I would be like, this is fucking awful. Everything
Mhm.
about it would be hard. It would be sucky. I wouldn't want it. But then you look at people that have been running and training for a long time
Mhm.
and they love it. They're
Mhm.
addicted to it because they've trained their body to be.
Mhm.
And so most of our brains have been trained to sit in front of a TV, to go to school and listen to what someone tells us to do, go to a job, listen to what someone else tells us to do, and we don't actually have to work hard. Our brain does not have to work hard at all.
Mhm.
And so then when you try to have self-awareness, it's hard. And so it's easier just to do that self-care routine and then feel like that carried throughout the day.
Mhm.
And like my partner is a great example. Like he had no one in his life had ever read a personal development book to his knowledge. He didn't even know what they were. Like it
That's
was
so
like,
crazy to me. Like I can't
I
even.
know. Like even my mom had like childhood like helping you learn about like how to raise kids
How to raise
books.
kids. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Or like the Oprah book, like
Hmm.
she had those kind of like the Oprah book of the month, like this will help you be happier kind of books.
Hmm.
And he literally, it was so not in his realm of reality. Like he had no idea that there was like people that were motivational speakers or
That's
like
crazy.
anything like that. Like, and I lived in that world. So
Yeah,
like when we came together, it was so different. And he's
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing the things." And I'm like, no,
No, you're
you
not.
have no awareness whatsoever.
Yeah,
You're not doing the things like you think you are, but you're not.
yeah,
And it's really hard to tell someone that thinks
yeah.
they are
Absolutely.
because they don't know how to feel it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what goes into this. Like, how do you stick in that feeling? Well, first you have to know how to get there.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you were talking about, okay, so I want to back up a little because you were like touching on it. And I feel like it's so freaking important that we talk about it. So, on a regular basis, if we haven't trained ourselves to think like this, to be aware, our brain and body is going to default to what we know, which is
Mhm.
probably complaining or being frustrated or being angry or whatever it is that your default might be, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going to stay because that's what our body and our subconscious mind knows, right?
Yeah.
It's going to stay there and it becomes this thinking and feeling pattern, right? Like we're consistently in a thinking and feeling loop and we might
Yeah.
not even be aware that we're in that thinking feeling loop, right? Because it feels really comfortable, right? We
Yeah.
get so comfortable doing
Mhm.
that that when we
Mhm.
start to do something else, it's uncomfortable and we go, I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't feel right. I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to doing what I was doing. This is
Yeah.
where a lot of people get tripped up, right? Because their body is now the mind. Their
Mhm.
body is now taking the driver's seat and telling them, well, it doesn't feel good to think like that about money or think like that about my health or think like that about the possibilities that might be available to me, right? It feels better to go, well, this is just the way life is. It just is like, this is just my life, right? It feels easier in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, right? We become this robot in a lot of ways, okay? Because we've trained our subconscious mind to do that. Now,
Mhm.
we can absolutely untrain and retrain into a different program that now
Yeah.
this new program becomes the automatic set of behaviors. But it takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes consistently like falling, if I'm being honest with you, and then picking yourself back up and going, whoops, I did it again. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep trying, right? Like it's that process of doing it over and over again that finally teaches our body, wait a minute, I want this to be a subconscious thing. I want to teach my body to be constantly in a feeling of freedom to the point that just the word freedom gives me chills, right? And that's what's happening right now because I have trained my body what it actually feels like to have
Mhm.
freedom instead of feeling stuck or feeling like I have to do something a certain way, right? I've now
Yeah.
trained my body through repetition what it actually feels like to feel free. And
Mhm.
that, and we talked about this last time on the podcast, that could mean that I am in jail, but I feel free, right?
Yeah.
Because I've literally retrained the whole way that I think about myself, my environment. My environment no longer matters. Like that's what happens at a certain point. Your environment no longer matters. And this to me is really important when you get here because you start to realize that no matter the circumstances, you can stay there because you've been practicing it so much. No matter what's going on in your environment, you could literally be, and I have been here before, in the operating room, having your patient die in front of you, and you can say, you know what? It was time for them to move on and be completely okay with that and not sitting there freaking out about what should I have done differently? How could I have helped this person? That was my old life, right? My old life, my old brain said, oh, but what else could I have done differently? What else could I do? What, blah, 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 like, and just all the things like throwing in my brain, like rehearsing over and over and over and over again till I was sick and not sleeping at night. And
Yeah.
now I can be in the exact same situation where somebody is passing on in front of me and I can go, you know what? I really feel like this is what this person wanted and have zero resistance towards it anymore. That's
Yeah.
when you know you've overcome your environment. That's when you know, holy shit, I've just created freedom for myself because now I don't have to feel like I'm stuck worrying about what I should have, could have, would have done differently. And that is freedom in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And as you were talking, I was kind of thinking about like say my partner had never met me and fell on like our TikTok or a podcast and
Mm,
was like, you know what? I want to be more positive, but there was no one in his realm that was like that. It's like, what kind of advice could you give someone that like, because I grew up kind of in a way, like I always had some kind of mentor, even in school, that was helping me progress and grow.
mhm,
So like it was, I don't remember a time where this wasn't a part of my life.
mhm,
And I think one of the biggest things is I would try to find an accountability partner or a
mhm.
course where you have a mentor. Like, legitimately, I think that is so important because if you've never experienced something, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to have awareness around something that you don't know, you don't know.
Mhm,
Once you can break into that, like, okay, I know I don't know, then you can really start to self coach and self teach because you're going to search for answers. And we're all connected to infinite intelligence so that you then can actually search for those answers and get them. But I really believe that like finding someone that you can walk with is huge.
mhm,
And then if that's not a possibility, I think it comes down to that gratitude thing, you
mm,
know, like every time you catch yourself saying anything that is slightly negative, change it and say it in a more positive way and say three more gratitude things, like just to like really start flipping that, because the more you have awareness around, oh, that wasn't the most positive thing, the more times you're going to have awareness around things that weren't the most positive thing,
mhm.
and you can start to rewire your brain slowly.
Yep.
um and that is really truly like it's a feeling. Like
Mhm,
then you start to rewire your brain, you start to feel better because you are coming from a place of gratitude.
mhm.
And so then you're staying in that place more. And the biggest thing is never to be beating yourself up about it. You
Right.
know, when I have a bad day, I'm not like, oh fuck, like I suck. Like,
Now you've
um,
just lost it when you do that because now you're
yeah,
obsessed with the feeling of feeling bad. Ew.
yeah.
Mhm,
And like our self-talk has to be like the first, every time you say anything negative about yourself, that has to be the first thing that changes. Like,
mhm.
don't care about the road rage you have, care about the rage you have about yourself first.
Yes, 100%.
Um, and like get Car or not Caroline Leaf.
Mm,
She is a great book to read, but I would get You Can Heal Your Life as like a starting point and really start to feel those good things. So you get addicted to those good things, just like a runner does that keeps running over time.
mhm,
And then catch yourself when you say something bad, but not like, oh fuck, I fucked up again. Be like,
mhm.
oh, I didn't love that. I would rather this.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. And I think that's something that thankfully both of us have had fairly good self-talk.
Mhm,
And it has made this journey a little bit easier.
mhm,
So for someone that's starting new, really focus on how you talk to yourself and how you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself first. And like our question on our TikTok channel was how do you stay in that high feeling place? And the only way you can stay there is by changing that feeling about you.
Yes.
So if I was someone that truly didn't love me, then I could pretend to love driving even though like so I don't really have road rage. But say I'm driving and I normally have road rage, I could calm myself down like and like be like, "Oh, it's okay. Like I normally would get mad and it's okay. It's okay." But because I don't love myself, it's not internalizing. It's not raising my vibration. And then something else will happen later that day. And say someone doesn't put their shopping cart away. Like I'm thinking of really like
Random things that do
things.
piss people off for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when that, or I guess here, this is one. So there's times where like you stub your toe and it just like it feels like your whole day is ruined. Like
Hmm.
I've definitely had bad days like that where my day's already been bad and then I stub my toe and it's like really ruined. So say you're faking it and you're faking this positivity. You're not having the road rage. You're faking it, which there's nothing wrong with at all. Like it's better to fake it than to
Stay.
rewire to keep on wiring your brain in that negative place. It's better to fake it. But then when you stub your toe, then when your partner triggers you, when your kid throws a tantrum at the grocery store, it's all going to be gone. It's all going to be
Hmm.
gone. That faking it will not be possible because your internal peace and your internal love for yourself isn't there. And so it is so much harder and so much more exhausting to keep those high feeling levels if you don't have those within yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, so you were talking about Louise Hay as like a good starting
Mhm.
point. Honestly, the book that, and I talk about him all the time, but I mean, this was the book that got me was Breaking the
Yeah.
Habit of Being Yourself,
Mm.
because that's literally what you're doing. You have a
Yeah.
habit of being angry. You have a habit of being overwhelmed. You have a habit of worrying about money. You have a habit of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to break that habit because it is a habit. It's something that you're habitually doing over and over again to the point that you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't
Yeah.
have to, you don't literally like if I say something like about politics like and you have a tendency towards anger, you're going to instantly go to anger, right? Like you're going to instantly, no matter what I say, one side or the other, you're going to instantly go, "Oh yeah, I'm so mad about that." Like
Mm.
listen to the words that you're using. You just gave
Yeah.
yourself a hint that I need to really notice when I get angry. And
Yeah.
then the piece of the puzzle that was hard for me was, how do I get my body? Because your body wants to become the mind, your body wants to be in
Yeah.
charge,
Yeah.
right? So, how do I get my body, which is the unruly 3 year old or the
Hmm.
monkey mind or whatever you want to call it? How do I get my body to start paying attention?
Yeah.
So, I have done so many things, and meditation is by far the best thing I've ever done for myself. But there are easier things. Like I will sit and I will spend an hour every day, minimum, just meditating because I know I am a better person when I do that, right? So, but there are quicker things that you can do. Breath
Yeah.
work is one of the simplest things that you could do during the day. If you catch yourself going, "I'm really pissed off right now," if you take 1 minute out of your 24 hours, this is nothing. Like that's less than 1% of your day. You take 1 minute after you have an angry outburst, or even while you're in that angry outburst and you realize that it's happening. If you can get yourself to notice quicker that you're doing it and say, "You know what? I'm going to spend some time with my breath right now. I'm going to inhale for 5 seconds and I'm going to exhale for 5 seconds." You do that for a minute, you're going to feel better. I'm sorry. It's physiologically impossible for you to not feel better, because what's happening when you're doing that is every time you inhale, you're activating your sympathetic nervous system. Every time you exhale, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. What does that mean? You're creating balance in your nervous system. Your
Hmm.
nervous system is no longer in a massively sympathetic state. Okay. If you are going, I'm in a massive sympathetic state right now. I'm really revved up. This is my fight or flight. I'm ready to go punch somebody or whatever it is that you want to do. If
Yeah.
you know that that's what's happening, maybe you spend a little bit longer on your exhale because now you're working on your brake. Okay. You're kind of
Mhm.
putting that brake on. So you inhale for 4 seconds and you exhale for 8. Now you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system and you're able to get yourself out of that fight or flight response. And then
Yeah.
once you find yourself kind of equalizing, this is what I do all day, every day. Okay. When I find myself equalizing, I then go back to the 5 inhale, 5 exhale, 5 inhale, 5 exhale, because now I'm working on that balance because you
Mhm.
can't have too much parasympathetic and you can't have too much sympathetic. You really want to have that balance of the two. You
Mhm.
need to have that rest and relaxation, but you also need that get up and go. Like that's just the part of the balance that's so important. And when you have those two cohesively synchronized, that's when magic happens. And for
Mhm.
me, like literally, if all it takes is 1 minute every single day, I remember when somebody asked me to do this for the first time, and I remember thinking, that seems like a long time. That
Mhm.
means that I have not practiced it. Okay, so
Mhm.
this is the advice you don't want, right? Like if you're listening to me right now and you're going, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can stop myself long enough to do that for a minute. It just means that you haven't practiced enough. And it does take something to actually say, I'm going to choose to do something different than I did yesterday in order to create something different in my life.
Yeah. Well, and that ties into like a podcast we've talked about before, or a topic we've talked about on a podcast before, and that's like time scarcity. And
Mm.
so that's something that I know both of us struggle with in different ways, and my partner struggles with it in a third fun way.
Oh, fun. What's his way? Oh my God.
This is also a scarcity thing,
Okay.
but I think it's more like the typical scarcity.
Okay.
So, I think as a society, like truly, truly, if we've like bought into the get good grades, get a good job,
Mhm.
work hard, provide for your family, like that, like typical thing, that's where he's at.
Ah,
And
so I'm running
so
out of time to do that kind of thing.
yeah, like
Okay.
I'm too busy providing for everyone
Ah.
to take time for myself.
Mm.
And so like I've been really big for a while now about like we can have it all. Like we have it all. Like we
Yeah,
are
you already do.
constantly
You
up
really
level.
already do.
Yeah, we are constantly up leveling, constantly unlocking new stuff, and constantly having not so great stuff happen too. But that's part of the learning process. That's part of this journey, and it's also how we respond to those things. Um, but like more and more, like I just am like constantly overwhelmed with this like beautiful, blissful feeling of we have it all. We have it
Mm,
all. And so then like he wants to learn guitar. He wants to learn and fine tune like he trades, he wants to trade better, like there's things like that, and he's just like I just don't have time. We just started coaching our two boys soccer teams, so we have 3 practices a week and 2 games, and he's like I don't have time for that. And I'm like there's no way that we don't, because we have it all. So he's like, I'm going to get burnt out if I'm doing all the things. And I'm like, no, you won't, because we have it all. So it's like everyone has the same 24 hours in a day,
mm,
right?
mhm,
And so there's people like, whether you like him or not, Elon Musk.
mhm.
Look at what he's fucking created,
Yeah.
you know? And then like it used to be a quote I actually had on my wall like in my early 20s was I have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And so it's like how can she create this massive empire with the same time frame as me, and I'm struggling to keep my house clean, to put food on my table, and to take my kids to school, and to work from home, not even full-time hours,
mhm,
like we have the same 24 hours in a day. It's a mindset. I am creating time scarcity. I
mhm,
am creating things taking longer. I am creating running out of time. It all is an illusion. And so for me, I'm like, I know I have a lot on my plate right now.
Mhm.
And I know even like Karen, I can feel like you're concerned to make sure that I'm okay.
That you're
And
okay. Yeah, that has been a thing the past week.
and so like and in my head, I'm like, okay, I am a little bit more like all over the place, but I feel more energetic than I have, you know? So like I feel better than I have. I do have foggier thinking. Definitely that is a struggle, but everything else, like I looked at my day yesterday, and actually, so my partner went out to do a quick after hours job for one of our businesses, and he came back, and I'm like, I got done more that hour and a half than I did like 3 weeks ago in a day, in the 8 hour day.
Mm,
And it's because, so, oh man, I'm going on a huge tangent. It's the whole 80/20 rule.
mm,
So, if you're given 3 months to do something, you will get 80% of it done in the last 20%.
yeah.
If you're given 3 weeks to do something, you will get 80% done in the last, or yeah, 80% done in the last 20%.
Mm,
And that is a very, very common human nature thing. And so it doesn't matter. It can be like you have the same 5 things you have to do. And if you have 3 months, it's going to take you 3 months. And if you have 3 weeks, it's going to take you 3 weeks. And if you have 3 days, it's going to take you 3 days. And so right now, I have a lot more on my plate, but I'm getting more done because I am manifesting that I get to live this life that I want to live, and I'm getting all of it done.
mhm.
And so it's definitely all comes down to how we think and how we feel.
Yeah, like that literally is the answer, right? Like how are you thinking and how are you feeling? And
Yeah.
getting really good at knowing when you're not thinking and feeling when you lost it, right? So I talk about meditation a lot because it works for me, but like with meditation, I started to actually feel what it felt like to feel good. I didn't know
Mhm.
what that felt like. If I'm being
Yeah.
honest with you, I went, God, when did I start meditating for real? It was
Mhm.
probably, so I found Dr. Joe 10 years ago. I would say probably about within that first year, I went, oh my God, is this what it feels like to feel good?
Yeah.
Holy shit. So what? I'm
Yeah.
almost 40. So, like, literally 30 or 28 years of my life, 29
Mhm.
years of my life, I've gone feeling like shit and not knowing that I felt like shit until
I
finally
know.
I started meditating and I went, wait a minute, this is what people should feel like. I had no idea that this was possible. And then the
Mhm.
longer that you meditate, because I took a little break there because I was having emotional breakdowns in my head that caused
Mhm.
me to decide not to do that anymore. But when I came back to it, I was like, well, I'm never doing that again. Right. But like the more consistently that I do that, the more I'm like, oh my God, is it possible to feel better? Oh my God, yeah, it is. Like it's literally like unlocking new levels each time I
Mhm.
meditate. And there will be days where I walk in and I'm like, I'm not sure if I did a whole hell of a lot, but I feel 1% better. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And that is the win at the end of the day. Like so many people will say when if they've never meditated before, maybe they're really novice to meditating, they're like, I don't feel like I'm getting anything accomplished. Like I feel like I'm just kind of chasing my tail. Do you
Yeah.
feel 1% better that you sat down and you weren't in front of a screen or you weren't constantly trying to think about all the things that you had to do in your day? Maybe you did do that for a little while in your meditation, but then there was a time in your meditation that I guarantee you keep going, your brain's going to stop talking. I guarantee you it happens to everybody the more you practice it. Do you feel 1% better? If the answer
Mhm.
is yes, keep going because that 1% turns into 2% and then it turns into 4% and then it turns into 8%. And you just keep building this muscle that you're like, wow, I had no idea that I felt like crap. Like I literally had
Exactly.
zero idea that I felt like crap.
So completely agree with you. I'm curious, did you have a time frame where you started meditating and you felt worse for a time frame?
Now that can happen, okay? Because, and that didn't happen for me, but it can happen when you are releasing and integrating a lot of trauma in your life. That
So
is really common, actually.
yeah, because I personally can't remember, to be honest with you, because my progression has been more slow and steady. Like I didn't
Sure.
really have this like grand awakening where I found this.
Hmm.
But I remember like switching up my diet. Like
Hmm.
so I had chronic illnesses where I was very, very sick and was being hospitalized to get infusions because of how lethargic I was.
Mm.
And so then I switched up my diet and felt like immediately wonderful and better. And then I started eating bad again, like, but like just small amounts here and there. And when I would have like just something little, I would feel worse after having that something little than like more lethargic, more painful, everything than I did when I did it on a consistent basis before I changed it up.
Hmm.
And so like I know I had that, but with my partner, he'll be like, it's just so interesting. Like, I'm so much more tired. Like, he's like, I feel so much older than I ever felt. And
He's
he's very
working through
much
so much trauma if that's the case.
exactly. And I'm like, yeah, but before you were completely dissociated.
Yes.
So you're running off of adrenaline, completely dissociated. And so, because he used to stay up late, wake up early, work long hours every
Right.
single day, and eat garbage food,
Yeah.
barely eat. And he's like, and I had energy. Like I felt like he was in a lot of pain, but
Mhm.
he had energy. And now it's like we can go to bed at 7:38. And he's like, what the fuck is this? I used to stay up till like 3 in the morning and wake
Yeah,
up
his
at 5.
body needs to work through that trauma. I mean, think about this. We talked about this a long time ago, where like you and I, when we first started doing coffee enemas, surprise if you didn't know, both of us do what coffee enemas, but when we first started doing coffee enemas, we felt great immediately. But there are some people that will do a coffee enema and feel like shit at first because their
Yeah.
body is doing a big detox. You
Yeah.
have to kind of get over the hump of this is
Mhm.
uncomfortable. And I promise you, meditation is the same way.
Yeah.
You will feel like in some meditations you are dying. You will feel like you're dying, but I promise you nobody's ever died doing a meditation.
Well, and the thing is, like for us with coffee enemas, it was the same thing. It was a slow progression.
Hmm.
Me
Hmm.
and you had both done a lot of work with holistic
Yes.
doctors and different things before we ever started the coffee enemas. So again, slow progression. So
Yeah.
if you're coming out of the gate and going hard, like having this
Yeah.
big awakening, it's going to be hard. I
It's
had a
harder.
very nice slow progression. And so for him, it is like right out of the gate. But additionally, he turned off. He had so much shit, so like nothing about his life did he enjoy. And so when you're completely dissociating, you don't know your body's tired.
You don't
You don't
know. Yeah.
know. And so now he's waking up to all of that or woken up to all of that, and he has awareness of his body. He has
Yeah.
awareness of his emotions. And so like for me, if I have a really stressful day, I'm exhausted. I'm
Hmm.
exhausted from regulating
Hmm.
and keeping myself in that good state. And I'm aware that I'm exhausted. Whereas
Hmm.
before, like there was no awareness for him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand that his body was like fucking dead before.
Yeah.
It was a awareness issue too. So there's a
Absolutely.
combination of both.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that because this kind of is more of a podcast geared to people like just starting out.
Hmm.
And I don't want anyone to start and then give up. Because
Yeah.
when you start, a lot of people come to this because they're looking with a feeling of I feel hopeless.
Hmm.
So just know it truly does sometimes get worse before it gets better.
Hmm. And honestly, I kind of get to the point like, so I like it now when things get worse because I
Mhm.
know that there's something really big about to happen. I had a meditation, this was years ago. Um, and I don't know because I wasn't self-aware enough at that point. I was meditating very consistently at that point, but didn't have enough self-awareness to know if it was my future self that was sharing this information or something else, right? But I'm everything anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But now I can kind of differentiate and be like, oh, that was my future self, or oh, that was my guides or whatever. But I'm all those things anyways, so it doesn't matter. So anyways, um,
Mhm.
what came to me in that meditation, and I will never forget it because it stuck with me so hard because I was in a really, really low part of my life at that point.
Mhm.
And it came to me that just beyond your heartbreak is your breakthrough.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have that deep, not all the time, okay? Let me just preface this. You don't always have like that deep depression before the breakthrough. But
Yeah.
a lot of times when things feel really chaotic, it can mean if you're doing the work, okay, I want to be really like upfront about this. If you're doing the work and things get really chaotic, keep going because things are about to put themselves back together into coherence. It's
Yeah.
just the way of how this universe, how the energy of this particular 3D reality that we live in, right? It can
Kind of
tend
like
to, it's that syntropy, like that entropy, that syntropy kind of thing. So,
like kind of like what we were talking about before, your brain wants things to stay the same. And so we were almost creating change while sabotaging. So you want to create this positive change. You want to create this wonderful thing. This like relationships are the best example for this. I want to have this beautiful, wonderful, loving relationship, but I'm fearful and I'm over here sabotaging it, testing it, and fucking it up even though I'm trying to have this beautiful relationship, you know? Or like there's like the funny TikToks right now that are like, um, I I just like got overwhelmed and had like a freak out because I haven't lost all the weight that I want to lose for how much effort I'm putting in for eating healthy and exercising. And so I'm eating this big fattening burrito and everything feels okay kind of thing. Is like
yeah, this is
I
okay.
feel that like I'm eating differently right now to get a lot of my chronic pain and inflammation down. And there's times where I'm like, oh man, today was just a really hard day. I'm gonna have that really awful thing. And it was a really hard day because I was exercising and eating better and doing all these things for my body, and it was hard. So I'm gonna reward myself with something that counteracts all of this over here. That's what our brain is doing when we're waking
Mhm.
up and when we're doing like this work. And so yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a
definitely
process. Let it,
yeah, a
and that's the
change.
thing, let it be a process and be okay
Mhm.
with that because it's just
Yeah,
part of the game, unfortunately, or
yeah,
fortunately. Probably fortunately because we learn so much in the whole process.
mhm, yeah.
So, yeah. So, guys, as I said earlier, we have a new TikTok profile. Go ahead and check us out on our handle it's at advice you didn't want. So you can go check us out on TikTok. And as always, if you're listening to us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead and give us a 5-star. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are as well. So with that, we're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. See everyone next time. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.